I'd like to introduce you to our very own Dr. Victoria Martindale, who works for Safer Medicines. Thank you, Victoria.
Well, hello everybody. I hope you can all hear me. Can you hear me now? Yes. Excellent. Well, if you haven't found it moving so far with Erica's speech and the procession into town, then I don't know what will move you. Here at Save the Harlan Beagle campaign, we have two goals. The first is to see the immediate closure to Harlan Interfora facilities here in Cambridge. They breed beagle dogs for medical research, but these models are scientifically flawed. And our second goal is to call for an independent scientific inquiry into the safety of using animals for drug research and new drug testing. The evidence shows that this system is failing. I'm Dr. Victoria Martindale, and I campaign for safer medicines and safer means of medical research to save animal lives and human lives. Now, we are here today for the victims of science, for those thousands, those millions of animals who are tortured and killed in the name of science. But it is flawed science. Sewing kittens' eyelids together, splitting monkeys' heads open, blinding mice, poisoning dogs to death, and burning the tails of rats are all methods that are routinely carried out in laboratories across the UK. But the benefit they bring to human health is virtually nil. However, because they are carried out by scientists who wear white coats, and it is hidden from public view behind the walls of our esteemed institutions, and because these practices have been carried out for centuries and are established traditions, society turns a blind eye and they are tolerated and accepted. But the pain and the suffering for the millions of animals is just as immense, nonetheless. Now, of course, the vivisectors, they defend and justify their torture of animals by saying it is a necessary evil. But you and I know that there is nothing necessary about this at all. It is simply plain evil. You are also just as familiar as I am with all the stories they spin, all the fabrications, all the empty promises they offer, cures to diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. They are always announcing new developments in the cell of a mice tail or the fin of a fish. And they convince the public that therein lies the cure to your grandmother's dementia. But this is misleading. This is not science. It is just a guise for more money, for more public donations, for more grants, for more research. It will never deliver the cures. It never has, and it never will. Do not give your money to organisations like Cancer Research UK, Parkinson's Disease UK, and the British Heart Foundation. You will be funding animal experiments, and you will also be funding the lining of the vivisectors with their fat salaries. We all know that animals do not even suffer from human diseases, and the vivisectors themselves, they recognise the uselessness of animal models, and so they insert human disease-causing genes into laboratory mice, producing Frankenstein-like mutant models. These models are even more further removed from the authentic biological model they are supposed to be mimicking. There is no surprise that they can cure thousands of mice in this way in laboratories. Yet not one of these cures translates to a cure for a human patient in the hospitals and in the hospital beds. And all the time they are taking up more and more of our money, time, resources, not to mention the cruelty and the suffering inflicted upon these animals. There's a very simple reason why animal models are scientifically so flawed, and that is because different species are the process of billion years of evolution. This evolutionary process is why we are fundamentally different at a genetic, cellular, and molecular level. No matter how many times you test in one species, you cannot accurately, reliably, and meaningfully translate the results to a different species. And the story is just the same when it comes to testing new drugs. Animals are used as a safety screen to protect humans from the adverse reactions of new drugs. Yet despite this, 20,000 people die in the UK every year from the adverse drug reactions. Over 1 million people end up in hospital from the drugs they take. The evidence is clear. This system is failing. It is failing to protect the very people whose health it is supposed to be protecting and whose medicine it is supposed to be serving. The truth is that all the time we continue to test on animals, it is actually humans who are being experimented on, and humans who are being the guinea pigs. Animal testing is dangerous for humans. Yet, in face of all of this, the vivisectors turn around and call us the extremists. They call us the freaks and us the terrorists. Do you really think it's extreme to oppose unnecessary, unjustified cruelty of this kind? Do you really think it takes a freak to promote those modern techniques of medical research which really do protect human health and advance human medicine as they are supposed to? And look around you, how many terrorists do you see here today? Now, I don't consider myself an extremist or a freak or a terrorist, but I do consider myself as somebody who opposes this unscientific, unnecessary cruelty imposed upon animals, and it needs to come to an end. There is no doubt about it that vivisection is scientifically unjustified. It is technically wrong, and it is morally unacceptable. And in the process, it inflicts huge amounts of cruelty, suffering, and death upon the animals, and it is dangerous to humans. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people here are familiar with the drugs Vioxx and thalidomide. These are two drugs that passed it safe on animals, yet they went on to have disastrous effects in humans. Vioxx passed it safe in monkeys, yet it went on and killed tens of thousands of people across the world. And thalidomide, similarly, it caused major defects in newborn babies. Evidently, this system is failing the people it is supposed to be protecting. Now, there are methods to do cruelty-free good science that really do advance human medicine and protect human health and human lives. And of course, these are all human-based methods. Whether it's human cell-based, human tissue-based, computer simulation, or genetic profiling, there can be no better model for human medicine than the human model itself. In the time that I have spoken, yet another dog has died. A dog that has been bred by Harlan, that has died a slow, agonising, drawn-out death somewhere in a cage in a laboratory in the UK. By the time you get home tonight, another 10,000 animals will have lost their lives. These are the figures which are officially published and released by the Home Office, but even these figures don't tell the true story. They omit all those animals who are bred in surplus, animals that are born the wrong sex, genetically modified animals in which the gene has not worked or has not worked enough. Yet it is these figures that we want to bring down and down until the annual statistics come down year upon year until they reach zero. And this is where you come into it. You are part of this fight and this campaign, and relies upon you to bring these figures down to zero. And it is possible. It is very possible. If you look back in history, there are many incidents in which cruelty has been institutionalised and unjustified practices have been brought to an end. For example, slavery, the right to vote by women, bear baiting and dog baiting. These were all once established traditions that came to an end, and we want the unjustified practice of vivisection to be the next tradition that is brought to an end. But it comes down to you to keep up the fight. Now, thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of the day and enjoy the rest of the march. And remember, every day, 10,000 animals who die have their hopes, their only hopes, pinned upon you.